one and all present here. Today, on behalf of the Internal Complaint Committee of Satyavati College Morning, University of Delhi, I formally welcome you all to this enlightening virtual webinar organized on the topic Gender as a Social Construct, Narratives from the Field. I would request all the participants to keep their mics on mute and put their questions from the speaker only in the chat box. Each of us is a book waiting to be written, and that book, if written, explains the construct they have encountered. With this note, I would now like to invite the principal of Satyavati College, Professor Nirmal Jindal ma'am, to share a few words of wisdom and inaugurate today's webinar. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Am I audible? Because
yes, ma'am.
My
internet
connection shows unstable. Okay. All right. Good morning, all of you. I welcome you all to this webinar on gender as a social construct organized by the Internal Complaint Committee of Satyavati College. I congratulate the convener, Dr. Ankur Bhatnagar, for organizing this program. And this morning we have with us a very distinguished speaker, Professor Pamela Singler, head of the Department of Social Works, University of Delhi. I think that this topic is very timely. This seminar is very timely.
Freeze again.
As we are approaching excuse me. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's very timely. It's organized at a very, right time because we are approaching, the International Women's Day. And today's talk is on the empowerment of women and how gender is socially constructed. So here I just want to say that the main emphasis is on that women should, cross the barriers between public and private domains, and they should start contributing in the public domain. But here, it is very clear that women had been contributing throughout history, but their work had never been recognized, that had never been valued. So it is necessary that women should start working in the public domain as well. So for that, purpose, we have to change our perceptions, we have to change our behavioral patterns. So I think that societal behavioral pattern needs to be changed, and the behavioral pattern can change if we change our perception. So I think that we are in transition phase. Women is getting educated. They are getting, empowered because they have started working in the public domain. They are appearing to be quite successful. But at the same time, there's a lot to go. We have to work harder in this direction. So since 1980s, the feminist school of thought is becoming very popular all over the world. The women empowerment is the global concern. It is not confined to India alone. It is not confined to the global south alone. It is a critical issue that concerns the whole world. So I welcome you, Professor Pamela Singler. Pamela Singler for this program. And I'm sure that our students will be benefited a lot, because the basic objective of Internal Complaint Committee is to encourage women to come and share their grievances. They should not be hesitant of sharing their problems with the authorities, and what kind of facilities are available in the college and outside. And I must tell you that recently we have got one public pink booth installed outside the Satyavati College, so that women should move freely and fearlessly, and they should feel empowered. More and more girls should start coming to the college. They should not have any problem. So I'm sure that your talk will be quite insightful. It will be quite enriching and encouraging for girls, so that they start, thinking of getting skilled, getting empowered, and contributing to the society more significantly. Thank you very much. I welcome all of you once again to this program. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for encouraging our students with your wise words. With this, I would now request the convener of Internal Complaints Committee, Dr. Ankur Bhatnagar, to introduce the guest speaker and formally welcome her. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you, Shreya. Yeah, thank you, Shreya. A very warm welcome, a very warm good morning to everybody who's present here. Ma'am, good morning, Dr. Pamela, to you. I have not been in touch with you, but Angela has facilitated this webinar. So I thank Pamela and I thank you for gracing our webinar today. Formally, on behalf of the ICC of the college, I would like to welcome everyone to this webinar. Our guest speaker, Dr. Pamela Singler, who is currently the head of the Department of Social Work, Delhi University, but her credentials go beyond just this designation. I am privileged and very proud to share that she is my senior from SRCC, where she began her career with the study of economics. So economics is my subject, ma'am. I teach economics.
This is so interesting.
Yes, absolutely. But then ma'am went on to do, she began her academic life with economics, but then she moved on to pursue social work through her post-graduation and her doctorate from the Delhi University, where today she proudly sits as the head of the department itself, where she studied from. Beyond her academic work, she has extensive experience in policy making, and her involvement in different expert panels, in different impact evaluations. There is a long list. Let me start, ma'am, with a brief peek into your list of work that you have done. She has worked with the Delhi government, the central government, the Delhi police, lots of state governments, including Rajasthan, Jharkhand, on various projects to evaluate the policy implications of those projects, to give impact evaluation of those projects. She has been a trainer on gender sensitization in many workshops. She has trained personnel from the Delhi police, from the Delhi metro, different schools, colleges. She has even trained almost 1,100 personnel from the Kashmir police with soft skills. So she is a true example of an academician who strides the world of academics and policy making with equal poise and impact. I think that is very rare when we enter academics, to get into the policy making and to get into this kind of interactive work where we are actually applying whatever we have studied in our academics is very unique and very rare. Most of us just remain as academics. We are unable to go beyond that. So ma'am, I'm really happy to have you with us. I would like to thank you for your time, and we hope that today we all learn new aspects of how gender is being shaped by society from her field experiences. Thank you, ma'am. Once again, over to you, Shreya.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for introducing and welcoming our chief guest. Over to you, Pamela, ma'am.
All right, so thank you very much, Shreya. Thank you very much, Ankur, and of course, Angela is there. And of course, a big thanks to our principal of Satyavati College, Professor Nirmal Jindal. It's actually my great privilege to be here among you all. और अंकुर जी ने जो बोला मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. Actually, you know, मुझे लग रहा था शायद अभी पता नहीं क्या क्या आप बोलोगे. आपने to the point बोला और अच्छा लगा मुझे सुन के. यहाँ इतने साल जो डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ सोशल वर्क में और SRCC में और स्कूल में गुजारे हैं, it meant a lot to me when you were introducing. So I mean, there's a lot to say now. As I am, the mic is in my hand. There's a lot to say, and I am simultaneously thinking how to be actually, you know, putting things where, although I've made my few comments. So let me see how things go on. And the whole idea is to speak on gender as a social construct, and of course giving not just the theory, of course, all of you know, and it's basically also giving some field illustrations. And as has rightly been said by Nirmal ji, that it's a very important area. It's a very contemporary area, और इसको हम contemporary हर बार बोलते हैं, शायद 10-15 साल से तो कह रहे हैं, but ये contemporary बना ही रहेगा जब तक चीजें ठीक नहीं होती. और मुझे लगता है, and I'll be bilingual, इंग्लिश हिंदी करेंगे. थोड़े स्टूडेंट्स ना इसमें आ जाएं वीडियो पे, नहीं तो देखो स्वरन भगवत की अच्छी सी वीडियो मुझे ना वो फोटोग्राफ नजर आ रही है. अंतरा ने पता नहीं क्या कार्टून लगाया हुआ है. सोनू इज देयर, ग्रेट. कुछ लोग वीडियो पे आए तो मेरे को ठीक लगेगा.
Vaishali, yeah, Vaishali, some of us are there. Some teachers also there, ma'am. So I'll just request.
Teachers are fine. I need the students because my impression, my understanding is that It's basically for the students. Of course, the faculty is there, but I have sort of framed certain things, keeping in mind both the faculty and the students. But I think I'll be targeting the students more. And I'm glad जिन 3 लोगों ने वीडियो ऑन की है वो boys है, young adults. So yeah, nice. You can all take turns. The students can take turns. कभी कोई आ जाएगा, कभी कोई आ जाएगा. That's perfectly fine with me. So actually, the need for today's session is also more because it's being organized under the banner of ICC, Internal Complaints Committee, and very true that it's the Internal Complaints Committee that's supposed to be receiving the grievances, the complaints by young women students, by even young the faculty also. They could also be a part of that. Just a minute. Yeah, the page. So yes. But then the whole point is that a system has been created, but how to access that system? We can only access a system once we are aware of the fact that there is a privilege like this, where which we can approach. And I think that this session also is a step towards further popularizing the fact that there is a ICC in the college, and that it can be accessed by everyone. ये अच्छा, अरुण खत्री भी हैं, उनके दोस्त भी हैं साथ में. हाँ, अरुण, आर्यन खत्री. Right. So yes. Yeah. So the need for session is basically, we know that there are defined roles and responsibilities for women, and actually they exist as binaries, that women are supposed to be doing this, men are supposed to be doing this. And this is the aspect that probably needs a bit of addressal, a bit of recognition that there is something that needs to be spoken about like this. So the whole point is that why do we really need sessions like this? ये जो हम आज का session कर रहे हैं, इसकी इतनी जरूरत क्या है? When I asked my students, हमारे यहाँ भी एक elective है, जिसे कहते हैं Gender and Development / Women's Welfare and Development, and believe me that over the years, this is one elective which has not been getting very high number of students. It's nothing to do with the teacher. The teacher is very popular in the department, and there are more than one teachers, me and another one, and we are quite popular. But then, one day out of curiosity, I asked a certain group of students, I said, but why don't you take Gender and Development? I need a larger number of students in this. And there was once upon a time suggestion when we were revising a curriculum that please make Gender and Development as a core paper in your syllabus. So when I asked the students, they said, ma'am, lekin isme padhne ko kya hai? Hame to pata hi hai ki what the mothers are supposed to do, what the fathers are supposed to do, what the young wives are supposed to do, what their husbands are supposed to do. So what is it new that we are going to learn? So that exactly gets to be the problem. So the problem is that under the society has, of course, there's a third gender also, but I'm confining myself to men and women. हमें पता है कि इन लोगों ने क्या करना है, हमें पता है इन्होंने क्या करना है, और हमने इनको एक तरह से gender identities मान लिया है, which become fixed, which have become a norm. And that is probably, उसको ही थोड़ा सा हमने समझना है कि कुछ चीजें बदली जा सकती हैं, कुछ चीजें शायद नहीं बदली जा सकती, और वो क्या चीजें हम बदल सकते हैं, क्या नहीं बदल सकते, थोड़ा सा उसकी जानकारी है. And that I think is the objective of this session. और इसकी जानकारी भी हमें क्यों चाहिए? समाज ठीक ठाक चल रहा है. मैं भी कई बार सोचती हूँ, probably my mother has been more fortunate than me, because at least she had a defined role. उनको पता था, ठीक है, उन्होंने काम किया, जब हम लोग कुछ टाइम विदेश में रहे, उन्होंने बाहर काम किया, लेकिन मैं ये देखती हूँ कि उनका बड़ा डिफाइंड एक रोल था, और उसमें वो खुश थी या नहीं थी मुझे नहीं पता, बट शी वाज अ डिवोटेड वाइफ, शी वाज अ डिवोटेड मदर, और उनको ये भागा भागी नहीं करनी पड़ती थी जो मुझे करनी पड़ती है. Despite the fact that I have a very supportive family, and my husband also gets to be in the university, so he knows and understands the challenges, so it's a very supportive family. But कहीं ना कहीं लगता है that actually जो स्टूडेंट ने बोला कि चीजें बदलने को क्या है, चीजें बदलने को मेरे हिसाब से इसलिए है कि अगर 50% of your population only is involved in decision making, only 50% or slightly more of your population participates in policy making, only some of us are educated, so only some of us have access to healthcare, then it is a big threat to development. जिसे हम विकास की बात करते हैं, हमारी प्रेजेंट हमारे जो लीडर है वो विकास की बात कर रहे हैं, वो विकास मुझे थोड़ा सा थ्रेटनिंग लगता है अगर हमारा 100% पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन नहीं है, जिसे हम इलेक्टोरेट कहते हैं, जिसे हम अपने सिटीजन्स कहते हैं. If not all of them are actively participating and only 50% of them are participating, 52% are participating, then as Mehboob ul Haq, I'm sure you would know the name, as Mehboob ul Haq says, development if not engendered is endangered. तो किस विकास की हम बात कर रहे हैं जब हम में से ज्यादातर लोग जो महिलाएं हैं अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर में हैं, 85% of the working population, women who are in the who are working, 85% of them are in the unorganized sector. So that actually gets to be a point for concern. So the challenge in addressing gender is that it is deep rooted in our society. The phrase band karo ye. All right, everybody please थोड़ा mute करके रखिए.
Madam, you have muted yourself.
नहीं, मैंने म्यूट नहीं किया, उन्होंने सबको म्यूट कर दिया तो मैं भी हो गई. All right. So
दीप, अब आ रही आवाज आपकी मैम.
हाँ, तो ये जो है ना addressing gender, the challenge is that it's deep rooted in our society. And roles of men and women are as fixed as social norms that it cannot be changed. This is seen as a norm in our society, and that is a challenge. So when I say this, I like to say that मेरी जो MPhil और PhD की स्टडी थी, जो अभी जैसे अंकुर जी ने बताया कि इकोनॉमिक्स करने के बाद MPhil PhD किया, अब थोड़ा इसमें भी एक था कि इकोनॉमिक्स में अंकुर जी वुड एग्री विद मी कि इकोनॉमिक्स मींस आप टेबल वर्क ही करेंगे, आप पढ़ाई के अलावा और दूसरा काम नहीं है. और सुनने को ये भी मिलता था एट टाइम्स, the family members when we were this is when we were in college, they would get annoyed कि सारा टाइम पढ़ते ही रहते हो. So since I was staying in the university, of course I came to know that there is a department of social work and I had friends who were studying here. तो पता चला फील्ड वर्क नाम का एक चीज है. तो एक कॉन्शियस डिसीजन हुआ कि चलिए इकोनॉमिक्स से हटके फील्ड वर्क सोशल वर्क करेंगे, क्योंकि सोशल वर्क गिव्स यू गुड प्रैक्टिस ऑफ थ्योरी एंड प्रैक्टिस. बहुत ज्यादा जानकारी नहीं थी, लेकिन मैं ये आप लोग वीडियो पे आओ यार, कुछ ये ऐसे राज तो है यहाँ. सम ऑफ यू क्विकली कम ऑन द वीडियो. ये डबल जहाँ ट्विंस हैं वो नहीं आएंगे, आर्यन खत्री नहीं आएंगे क्योंकि वो ट्विंस बैठे हुए हैं. आई जस्ट वांट सिंग जहाँ सिंगल है, हाँ प्रिया पूनम मिस्टर, एक दो लोग आ जाए ताकि ये भी पता चले कि डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ सोशल वर्क है. बिकॉज आफ्टर योर बीए आई एम श्योर यू वुड लाइक टू लुक एट वेरियस ऑप्शंस एंड डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ सोशल वर्क कम्स आउट एज ए फैंटास्टिक ऑप्शन. आई हैव नेवर लुक्ड बैक. लेकिन उसके लिए एक जानकारी ये थी कि देयर इज समथिंग लाइक थ्योरी, प्रैक्टिस ऑफ थ्योरी एंड प्रैक्टिस. हमारी 4 दिन क्लासेस होती हैं, 2 दिन फील्ड वर्क होता है. तो उसके बाद फैमिली को थोड़ा सा ये हो गया, अरे बोलना सीख गए हैं क्योंकि जब फील्ड में गए, फील्ड में आप चुपचाप तो जा नहीं सकते, आप धीरे धीरे बोलेंगे, आप इंटरेक्ट करेंगे. एंड देन वी वर टोल्ड, दिस इज समथिंग आई वांट टू एक्चुअली टेल ऑल माय young women students who are sitting here, and I learned that when I was doing my masters, that there's nothing like good or bad. हम लोग शुरू से ये सोचते आए हैं कि ये चीज ठीक है, ये चीज ठीक नहीं है, लेकिन हमारी सोच में ऐसा कोई गुड एंड बैड नहीं है. तो बहुत ज्यादा क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस अपने आप अपने लिए मत करें, स्पेशली द यंग women students who are here. तो सुनने में मिला कि नहीं अब तो बहुत बोलना सीख गया. तो मतलब कि ये चैलेंजेस हर टाइम ही आएंगे, बिकॉज शायद इफ द women, a girl is speaking, is not supposed to be the right thing, but if a boy is speaking, then of course that's the accepted norm. So I took up my study in my masters. There was nothing like gender studies or women's welfare and development, but somewhere as a part of my growing up, when I was looking around, I felt that things were not right. And देखिए उस टाइम ये जानकारी नहीं थी that there could be a complete paper on masters in this area, but I found things were not right. So after for my MPhil, I took up for my research job satisfaction among women executives in Delhi, and for my PhD I studied women's participation in panchayat. अब मेरी स्टडी में एक चीज निकल के आई that women in private sector are not preferred because they are supposed to be emotional, they do not want to travel, they want to be home by 5 p.m. because they have a family to look after and other things. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I know that this is not all the time true for all of us, right? So the point is that such notions such notions like this are constructed by the society. They're constructed by you and me. And we need to be sensitive to this particular aspect. So moving from here, I like to say this aspect that when we're talking about gender, जैसे रविंदर बैठा, रविंदर आप वीडियो पे रहे, देखिए मैं बीच में बोलती रहूंगी ये चीजें. I need people on the video, please. The students, I need them on the video. I don't want to see your DPs. खुशी भी है, श्रीवाली, सुरु भी है. I don't want to see your DPs here. Please come on the video, because I need to know your responses when I'm talking about gender. मेरे को ये बताएं, do we know what gender is all about? I think some of us have an idea that gender gets to be a social construct. Now, when I say gender is a social construct, इसका मतलब ये है that it's created by the society. Gender is created by the society, and when I say gender is created by the society, that means आपने और मैंने, राज कंवर ने या रविंदर ने या स्वरण भगवत ने या हमारी फैकल्टी जो बैठी है, हमने मिलकर बनाया है. सोसाइटी का मतलब कोई बाहर तो नहीं है, आपने और मैंने मिलकर बनाया है. अगर आपने और मैंने मिलकर बनाया है, हम उसको चेंज कर सकते हैं, right? And something that cannot be changed is called sex. So I'll give examples on this. Let me just quickly introduce something about the basics. So the term gender, जब हम gender की बात करते हैं, this is a term got introduced in 1960s, and it basically got introduced to reject the biological determinism that links biology, that is the male female, with rigid sex roles and responsibilities. So this term basically came up to do away with the linkage of biology with sex roles and responsibilities. That is what the men are supposed to do, what the women are supposed to do. So when we talk about gender, gender rejects the idea that men and women are fundamentally different in their abilities, in their temperament, in their interest. जो मैंने अभी बात बोली है private sector को लेके, so we might understand that that is the norm. Women really do not want to travel much because they have a family to look after, because we are thinking it this way, and that's been constructed that it's the woman who has to look after her family. It's the woman who has to be taking care of the children. So as a result, women do not want to travel because they have a family to look after. And we also understand it this way, that women are emotional, women are soft, women are not very enterprising, etc., etc. So gender rejects this basic fundamental idea that men and women are different in their interests, in their temperament, and so on and so forth. So, all right. So having said this, I like to say that take the universities, take the corporate sector. I've recently introduced this change in my department, that when the students are being given the I-card, the identity card, it says name of the father. When a senior, maybe Swaran Bhagwat, or maybe let me say Khushi, they join the corporate sector and they are asked to give the name of a nominee from their family. The name of the nominee will be father's name. The mother's name does not appear. And I asked somebody, an intelligent senior person, a girl, that how come you gave the name of the father? So there was a pause, and the answer was, but I thought that is the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way, because we have constructed it this way, that when it comes to giving the name of the father has to appear on your I-card. आपके I-card में ध्रुव name of the father ही आएगा, और हम जब नॉमिनी की बात करते हैं तो ध्रुव भी बोलेगा कि मेरा फादर का नाम भी जाएगा, बिकॉज होता ही ऐसा है. मदर का नाम दो तो आपको 10 क्वेश्चन आएंगे, यार तेरे फादर का नाम तूने क्यों नहीं दिया, क्योंकि ये कुछ अवे फ्रॉम द नॉर्म है. तो ये मैं चाहती हूँ आप लोग ये सब समझे. मैंने अपने डिपार्टमेंट में उसको क्या किया, उसको हटा के कर दिया नेम ऑफ द पेरेंट. अब जिसका मन है वो फादर का नाम दे, जिसका मन है वो मदर का नाम दे. एंड आई लाइक टू सी हाउ मेनी ऑफ अस गिव द नेम ऑफ द मदर. अरे मदर
क्या होता है पासवर्ड 159357.
पंकज बंद करो अपना माइक्रोफोन, बंद करिए. All right. So the mother is an equally important figure, but somewhere we know that there is patriarchy, Pitrasatta. Pitrasatta mein father is supposed to look after the household, and he is the one who has to take care और इस दौरान में कहीं ना कहीं मदर का रोल बस सीमित होके रह गया। आप देखिए वेदास को अगर हम देखें, हिस्ट्री देखें, तो वैदिक पीरियड में विमेन का रोल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था। वो हर एक चीज में पार्टिसिपेट किया करती थी। लेकिन होते होते हम देखिए हमारे ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडिकेटर्स अगर हम देखते हैं वो इतने नीचे चले गए हैं दैट वी एक्चुअली हैव टू बी हैविंग जेंडर सेंसिटाइजेशन सेशंस एंड सेशंस लाइक दिस टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट विमेन मदर्स दे आर important beings in the family, in the society. So ये एक चीज हमें याद रखनी पड़ेगी दैट इन चीजों का हमें ध्यान रखें कि अगर हमारे से कहा गया है नेम ऑफ द फादर, तो हम पूछे। जब मैंने अपने क्लासेस यहाँ ली तो स्टूडेंट्स ने कहा कि वी एक्चुअली नीड टू स्टार्ट ब्रिंगिंग अबाउट ए चेंज। आपने मुझे चेंज करना है, कि बाहर से आके चेंज नहीं करने वाला। ऑलराइट, अब देखिए इसी चीज को मैं अगर आगे बढ़ाऊं, हम अगर जेंडर की बात कर रहे हैं और हम नॉर्म्स की बात कर रहे हैं, मुझे याद है कि मैं अभी रिसेंटली एक स्कूल में गई, दैट इज अराउंड 2 years बैक। तो आप ये देखिए, हम अगर स्कूल में जाते हैं, हम अपने यूनिवर्सिटीज को देखते हैं, तो देयर इज ए फॉर्मल करिकुलम जो आप में पढ़ रहे हैं, जो हमें डिग्री देगा। देयर इज ए इनफॉर्मल करिकुलम, जैसे अंजिला जी कहे या अंकुर जी कहे कि चलिए इसके साथ आपके लिए हम एक सेशन भी करवाते हैं, जेंडर एज ए सोशल कंस्ट्रक्ट। So this becomes a part of the informal curriculum where you get some additional learning. Then there is something known as a hidden curriculum. Hidden curriculum ये है कि जैसे मैंने जो स्कूल में देखा कि जो टीचर एग्जाम्पल दे रही थी, उस एग्जाम्पल में ये कहा गया कि टीचर के द्वारा सीता रोटी बना रही है और राम पैसे लेके बाजार फल खरीदने गए। अब सीता ने रोटी बनाई, सीता ने 5 रोटी बनाई, सीता ने रोटी दी, 2 अपने पापा को दी, 2 भाई को दी और 1 अपने छोटे कजन को दी। अब सीता की बाकी रोटियां बनी ही नहीं, क्योंकि माँ की रोटी बनाना या अपने लिए रोटी बनाना शायद इंपॉर्टेंट ही नहीं। So these are the kind of examples one really need to be careful about, and this is a hidden curriculum. अभी देखिए, मैंने स्कूल में देखा है कि अगर क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है एंड हाथ उठते हैं, the girls also raise their hand and the boys also raise their hand, invariably the teacher would say, all right, he is going to answer this question. ये माइंडसेट है कि नहीं, अगर मैथ्स का है तो इनसे पूछ लेते हैं। अगर कहीं ना कहीं आप देखिए, मैंने देखा है गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में जहां मैं गई थी, अगर क्योंकि एक दिन का सेशन नहीं था, आई वाज देयर फॉर अ फ्यू डेज, पानी वानी गिर गया, टेबल साफ करना, इनवेरिएबली वी से दैट शी इज गोइंग टू क्लीन द सो एंड सो। कुर्सी उठानी है तो मे बी द बॉय विल पिक अप द चेयर। सो देयर आर ऑलरेडी इन आवर माइंडसेट gender divisions, and we as instructors, we as teachers, we conduct ourselves in such a way which goes as hidden curriculum, and probably that needs to be challenged, and that happens because of, within quotes, socialization, and it's taken as the norm. तो हम जब gender की बात कर रहे हैं, gender is nothing but socialization. We learn things over a period of time, and because of that learning, we have started seeing men and women as binaries, as 2 separate identities who are supposed to be having separate roles and responsibilities, and that probably needs to be challenged. एक किताब है, एक ऑथर है वी गीता, GEETHA, अगर हुए तो आप पढ़ लीजिएगा, जिनके पास किंडल है उसमें देख लें। वी गीता कहती हैं कि जेंडर हमारे देश में, जेंडर मैनिफेस्ट इटसेल्फ इन वेरियस वेज। अब देखिए, जैसे कि पूनम अगर किसी के बर्थडे पे जा रही है, पता चलता है दैट अ बेबी गर्ल इज बोर्न, so Poonam tends to take something, a dress in pink, or she maybe tends to take a Barbie doll. But if you give a Barbie doll to a boy, then I'm sure the question would be, अरे पूनम शायद तुम्हें पता नहीं कि लड़का पैदा हुआ है, अरे लड़का पैदा हुआ तो उसको Barbie doll नहीं दे सकते। So my point is that gender in our country manifests itself in various ways. The practice of pinks, the practice of dressing a girl in soft colors like frilly clothes, or maybe getting a gun or a pilot, or maybe a policeman for a boy, or maybe admonishing the girls, scolding them for behaving like boys, and teasing boys for being as timid as girls. When we do that, we are doing gender. हम ये कर रहे हैं, हम gender कर रहे हैं, और ये हमारी socialization का part है. That means that we really need to be careful about that. While we are doing so, we are ordering the world in binaries. हम उनके 2 हिस्से बना रहे हैं, which needs to be challenged. Also, when we are associating emotions with men and women, we are categorizing professions with men and women. When we're talking about and we observe that women have access to the land. अब यहाँ से जाइए पंजाब पोर्टल की तरफ जाएं, you see women working on the land. So women have access to land, but women have no control over what has to be sown there. So that is another aspect. Another aspect now we have seen during COVID times, the access to the digital media like laptops and mobiles. आप सबने देखा होगा, and especially अगर आप neighborhood में भी देखें, आप भी देखें, तो अगर एक मोबाइल है, एक लैपटॉप है, the boys have generally got over the preference for them rather than the girls, unless and until, of course, there are parents who are educated and see that. But generally, we have seen our domestic helps when they were coming. मेरे घर में खुद हुआ है कि इस बार इस पैसे का क्या करोगे, नहीं इस बार तो एक लैपटॉप खरीदना पड़ेगा या मोबाइल खरीदना पड़ेगा, या कहते थे कि एक चीज चाहिए कि आपके पास सेकंड हैंड लैपटॉप हो, बेटे ने पढ़ाई करनी है, इनवेरिएबली में उसे बेटा ही निकलता है. सो ये एक सोशलाइजेशन का पार्ट है, ये हिडन करिकुलम है. और मेरे को याद है, आप देखिए अगर आप किसी इन द नॉर्थ वी हैव लॉट्स ऑफ प्रेयर्स, पूजा, सप्ताह, तो उसमें ब्लेसिंग अगर आप लेते हैं तो ब्लेसिंग में होता है इफ दे आर ब्लेसिंग इट न्यूली मेड ब्राइट, रब तेनू पुत देवे. सो पुत इज द ब्लेसिंग दैट यू आर गेटिंग. सो मैंने एक दिन एक पंडित जी से पूछा जहां ये हो रहा था पूजा, तो मैंने कहा आप ये क्यों ब्लेसिंग दे रहे हैं, बिकॉज हैविंग अ डॉटर इज, किसी को दे रहे थे, नॉट ऑफ कोर्स मी बट समबडी एल्स. सो आई सेड हैविंग अ डॉटर इज आई थिंक मच बेटर. सो उस पंडित जी सब कहा गया कि यहाँ ये तो यहाँ कुछ और तरह के लोग आ गए, कहते नहीं नहीं थोड़ा करके ही ट्राई टू से दैट पुत इज ए जेंडर न्यूट्रल टर्म. इसका मतलब है पुत्री. मैंने कहा आप अगर जेंडर न्यूट्रल है तो उसको पुत्री कह दीजिए, पुत मत कहिए. लेट्स डू यूज पुत्री आल्सो, इट इज जेंडर न्यूट्रल टर्म. सो माय पॉइंट इज दैट when we are doing all this, it's nothing but gender, because gender is a social construct, right? अब पूनम साथ साथ सुन भी रही हैं, थोड़ा अपना उस पे वॉकिंग भी कर रही हैं कि चलो एक्सरसाइज भी हो जाएगी और सेशन भी हो जाएगा. ऑलराइट, सो ठीक है, अगर हम ये वाली बात कर रहे हैं, सो मैं थोड़ा सा अगर यहाँ से हटके, बिकॉज आई थिंक आई आल्सो नीड टू कीप टाइम, कहने को तो बहुत कुछ है. आई विल जस्ट शेयर a bit of this part. Just give me a minute. थोड़ा सा मुझे स्क्रीन शेयर करना होगा.
Yes, I'm making you the host.
हाँ, तो इसको स्क्रीन शेयर कहाँ से होगा, ये देखना स्क्रीन शेयर, इसको शेयर करेंगे कैसे.
Making you the host. Ma'am, you can share the screen now, just check.
All right, is this visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
ठीक है, तो थोड़ा सा इसको लेके चलते हैं. So this is something I've spoken about, and इसी को आगे लेके थोड़ा सा करते हैं. एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल मैं यहाँ दूंगी, because also that I realize I'm talking to the students, and थोड़ा सा ये might sound very basic, but it's important for me to say. Now this is the story of Mia. And Mia has been selected to represent her school in the science exhibition, which is being held in the town. She's excited, and she comes to her grandmother and says that this is, I've been selected, and she's excited about it. And Mia tells the reason. Now, Dadi is very upset when she hears this. And वो Mia को कहती है, forget all about this funny ideas. और ये होता है आप लोगों के और हमारे घर में भी हो सकता है. She tells that forget about this funny ideas, and she tells her, she reminds her that her sister also had behaved in the same stupid way and wanted to go out of the village to pursue her dreams, but her father was sensible and he stopped her. And now she is a happily married girl with 2 children. So she's settled and she's happily married. So she tells Mia that rather than wasting time in the science exhibition, she can use the same time to learn household work and help her mother and sister in the household chores. So poor Mia, she listens to her and agrees with great sorrow. And then similarly here is the mother who has scolded the son for behaving or crying like a girl, and she is simultaneously scolding Priya for being too loud and happy, because that's not the way a girl is supposed to be behaving. Similarly, when we just move ahead and see, we see this part that the parents have taken the children to the market, and the shopkeeper, who is the Ramu Kaka, gives Ria a doll and kitchen set and saying that this is the best for her. And to the boy, he asks him, "Kya chahiye? Plane chahiye? Tumhe kya chahiye? Plane chahiye ya gun chahiye? Kya chahiye?" So now my point here is, how come Ramu Kaka decided for the girl, and the boy gets a chance to decide for himself? So these are the basics, and we teach them right from the young age that this is how society has to be moving around. So some of the basics I've just covered with you. So quickly I'll go through biological construct. Sex is biological construct. We are born with. It's a constant thing. It's universal. You and we don't. If Angela ji is seen as a woman here, she'll be seen as a woman everywhere in the world. Gender is something that's a social construct, which I've given up to an example. It's learned, it changes over time, and it's cultural. It's built over centuries, and it's been reinforced through our socialization process. And gender is the way society distinguishes between men and women, and it rejects that men and women are different in their temperament, interests, and abilities. Do we see gender discrimination in our society? अगर मेरे पास थोड़ा टाइम होता तो मैं ये इसको आपसे पूछती कि हम जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन को है हमारी सोसाइटी में, अगर स्वर्ण या राजकुमार है मुझे कुछ बताएंगे, हम देखते हैं कि जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन अपने आसपास या अपने के घर में? डू वी सी इट, राजकुमार? माइक्रोफोन ऑफ करो, ऑन करो. कोई और बताना चाहेगा? डू वी सी जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन इन आवर सोसाइटी या नहीं है?
It exists.
It exists. Video पे आ जाओ so that I can hear. All right. We actually, there could be different responses to this. I've heard people say that no, in my house and with my neighborhood things are perfectly fine. But it's not just my house or my neighborhood that makes the difference. One has to see also the Human Development Index. So when we say that does gender discrimination exist? Gender discrimination is basically the status, unequal status between men and women, boys and girls. And we have the census surveys with us, which show that there is gender discrimination. 944 women per 1,000 men. There are cases of domestic violence. There are crime rates against women every 1.7 minutes. There are rape cases. School enrollment rates also one needs to see. There's unequal pay for the same work, malnourishment, high maternal mortality rate, then cases of dowry violence, and so on and so forth. So there are actually a lot of good illustrations which show that gender discrimination exists in our society. So having said this, I'll quickly come to some of the illustrations from the field, which might interest you. I don't know how many of you have heard of Gunj.
I have. I know I have.
अब मेरे को आई तो नहीं पता, थोड़ा नाम बताइए. अंबिका, you have? Somebody said they. All right. So my point is that Gunj is an NGO and which is in Sarita Vihar. So those of you who are in Delhi, I really suggest that you go and see Gunj. Gunj has cloth as a parallel currency. आप देखिए ये पूरे 27 states में ये काम कर रही है, and there are collection centers, there are delivery centers. और मैंने एक स्टडी की दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए, where I wanted to study the impact of Gunj on the lives of people, and also keeping in mind this whole thing of gender. I wanted to really see that. लंबी चौड़ी स्टडी है, उसके बारे में ज्यादा ना बात करके सिर्फ ये कहूंगी that this is an example of gender. So this is the picture that I took in the community. She's a Bega. Bega are tribal people, right? So she was sitting there. I took her permission that can I click your picture and I'll be using it for my study. Now इससे मैं एक और चीज आपको कहना चाहूंगी. जब हम इस तरह की पिक्चर्स लेते हैं या हम स्टडी करते हैं, बहुत जरूरी है that you do it with informed consent. आप अगर मेरा इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं या आप फील्ड में बात कर रहे हैं, आप उनको बिना बताए चोरी से चुपके फोटोग्राफ नहीं ले सकते. इट्स अगेंस्ट द एथिक्स. ethics of any research. So ये चीज आपको याद रखनी पड़ेगी. This is slightly beyond gender, but it's integral part, because when we're talking about women, मुझे उनको बताया, it took me some time because language was a problem. लेकिन through the translator उनको बताया that I gave my introduction and they said that I'll be, and I showed her the picture because it was on the mobile. So all right, so this is a Vega woman. इसमें मैं ये दिखाना चाहूंगी आपको, आप इनका देखिए बॉडी, इसके ऊपर जो टैटूज बने हुए हैं आजकल. कुछ लोग तो टैटूज इज पेनफुल, बट कुछ लोग तो शौकिया बनाते हैं. लेकिन इसमें देखिए इनके जो टैटूज हैं, जो माथे पे हैं और जो बॉडी पे हैं, वो इनकी पूरी दिनचर्या दिखा रहे हैं. एंड दे रिफ्लेक्ट हर सराउंडिंग्स. जो सीधा लाइन है दैट डिनोट्स फॉरेस्ट, जो सीधा देख रहे हैं दैट डिनोट्स फॉरेस्ट. इसमें कुछ मछली की शेप है, कुछ सूर्य भी बना हुआ है कहीं, और एक लड़के की शेप भी कहीं आएगी. इस तरह से पूरा जो उनकी सराउंडिंग्स हैं वो आपको इसमें नजर आएगी. मैंने इनसे ये पूछा, मैंने कहा कि आदमियों के ऊपर तो मैं नहीं देख रही है. तो कहते नहीं वो आदमी है. हमने कहा आदमी है तो वो भी कर सकते हैं. सुनो, आदमी है तो उनके सिर पे, बॉडी पे सब बाल हैं. मैंने कहा तो मुंह पे तो बना सकते थे, बट that did not strike them, because it's the woman who has to be carrying the responsibility of the household on her. घर बार उसी को ही देखना है, तो वो घर से बाहर भी निकले तो घर उसके साथ ही जाएगा. So that is one part. इसको थोड़ा सा आगे लेके जाके, और शक्ति जी आ जाए, because I want to also be saying that in her presence. अब ये देखिए, now this is एक अच्छी खासी साड़ी है, और इस साड़ी का इसमें ये है, this is the साड़ी that these women use. गूंज इनको कपड़े देता है that sarees are not very useful for them, because they have, again, as per gender, it's the women who have to be tying the children around their back and taking them while they are working. All of them have to work. They work in the fields, they work in the mountains. और ये औरतों का ही काम है कि वो बच्चों को संभाले. आप देखिए छोटी सी लड़की ने भी एक बच्चे को पीछे टांगा हुआ है. So this is what gender is all about. ये हमने बनाया है. This is all a part of the social norm which has been created, and that needs to be really addressed. ये वहां की सरपंच थी, तो एक चीज मुझे जो यहाँ नजर आई, मैंने उनसे पूछा, मैंने कहा जब ये घर की आप, they were making a water harvesting के लिए एक छोटा सा डैम बना रहे थे, and they told me that the roles and responsibilities among the tribal people are neutral. ऐसा नहीं है कि औरतों ने ये काम करना है. तो वो मैंने सुना, लेकिन एक उन्होंने बात मुझे बड़ी क्लियरली बताई कि जब घर का छत डलती है, that is done only by the men. So कहीं ना कहीं वो जेंडर डिवीजन भी आ गया, that the man is the householder और छत वो ही डालेगा and not the woman. So ये सब छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं. You have to be very observant when you are in the field, you are doing studies. कुछ है कि हम वहाँ घूम के आ जाएं, वो भी एक चीज है, लेकिन ये सब चीजें हैं हमें ऑब्जर्व करनी बहुत जरूरी है. लैंग्वेज जितनी ज्यादा आए उतनी अच्छा है, so that you don't miss out on some of the important findings. गूंज के ये है कलेक्शन सेंटर से. देखिए पीछे डब्बे जो पड़े हैं, इसमें कपड़े हैं which get delivered, but then now the point is that in गूंज these women, basically the women only who work, 10 से 4 का टाइम है. Many of them have left some important, well important in the sense well earned jobs, because the timings did not suit them, and there they were interacting with men which the family did not like. So anyway, so they are there, and from my interaction with them, I interacted with these women. I really wanted to know, how does this earning help them? बताया जो चीजें हैं कि बच्चे को, बेटी को स्कूल में डाला, मेडिकल बिल्स आर टेकन केयर ऑफ, लैंड भी ले लिया, blah blah. But then it was in one of my interactions with them that I realized that the economic independence has given rise to choices. तो जब मैं ये पूछ रही थी कि आपको ये कैसे, how has it benefited you, तो सबने ये नॉर्मल से, ये एक लड़की इनमें से, she you know what she told me, she says अब मैं चाउमीन खा सकती हूँ. आप ये देखिए कि कितनी छोटी सी बात है. मैंने पूरा दिन लगाया इस आंसर को सुनने के लिए, which is different from the other answers that I was getting, which I had already got as a part of the review of literature that I have done. So ये मैंने कभी नहीं सुना था. तो आप ये देखिए कि यही हम जेंडर की बात कर रहे हैं. जेंडर गिव्स प्रिविलेजेस. जेंडर में अगर women are earning, they get privileges, they also get choices, and that is very important. Economic independence, which we, as true only to the men, it's very important women also earn, because of these smaller things that we see. Anyway, this is something that they do. मैं अभी जो डिस्कशन पूरी कर रही हूँ उसको आगे बढ़ाते हुए मैं आपको एक ये छोटा सा एक ये किताब मेरे को ट्रेड फेयर में मिली. अब आप देखिए ये किताब जो मुझे चाहिए थी ये बहुत मुश्किल से मिली. एंड देन द पब्लिशर टोल्ड मी कि मैडम आप हमारे लिए किताब लिखें. तो हमने कहा ठीक है हम विमेन के ऊपर लिखेंगे. नहीं नहीं ज्यादा रेडिकल मत होइएगा, वो बिकेगी नहीं. सो ये भी आप ध्यान रखिए. हिडन करिकुलम. तो कुछ चीजें हमारे माइंडसेट में है जहां हम कहीं भी जाएं that needs to be challenged. अब आभा एक लड़की है. Now look at this. Every Sunday morning, Abba wakes me. Abba wakes me early. Aisha is the girl. She says that my Abba wakes me up. Wake up, he says, tickling me. अब हो सकता है हम में से कुछ के फादर ने हमें बचपन में उठाया हो, बट ज्यादातर माँ का ही रूल होता था उठाना. अभी भी आप देखिए कि in your surroundings, who wakes up the child? I giggle, she's happy, and it's a Sunday. I wonder what we are going to do today. We make masala chai for Ammi. अब देखिए, मान लीजिए स्वरण भागवत स्कूल में जाके टीचर पूछती हैं कि संडे कैसे बताया, तो स्वरण विल से दैट ऑल राइट माय फादर मेड द चाय. तो आपकी माँ क्या कर रही थी? अरे माँ तो बैठी अखबार पढ़ रही थी. अरे कितना बेकार घर है ये, इसमें हर काम उल्टा ही हो रहा है. हर काम उल्टा इसलिए लग रहा है हमें बिकॉज हमने ये नॉर्म्स बना लिए हैं कि the mother cannot be reading the newspaper. The mother actually has to be doing the work that the father is doing, making chai, and it's the father who has to be actually reading the newspaper. But and this girl will grow up thinking that she probably will come up as the best person around because she has seen that there are no binaries, there are no divisions. Then they go to the market. Father ने देखिए सामान सब्जी भी उठाई है. Mother is also very happy, and then Abba takes charge of the kitchen. Such an unusual thing, but then this is gender because you and me have constructed it. हम देखिए हम अपने जो हमारे घर में रोल्स हैं हमने कितनी आराम से उसको चेंज कर सकते हैं because it is not God given that only the woman has to enter the kitchen. The father can also enter the kitchen very well. So then Sundays we do all this work, dusting and all those things, and Aisha says Sunday is her favorite day. That is another one example of this. I have actually many examples. मुझे आपको बताना पड़ेगा कहाँ रुकना है because देखिए एक तो इतने साल पढ़ाते पढ़ाते आदत भी हो गई है बोलने की, but I will have to know when I have to stop. मैं थोड़ा सा आगे बढ़ती हूँ, इसको भी मैं छोड़ देती हूँ. मैं एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और है प्रदान, उसके बारे में बात करती हूँ. देखिए प्रदान के बारे में those of you the students who are here, अगर आपने देखिए आप बैचलर्स इस साल से जो शुरू होगा आप लोगों के लिए, तो नए साल में बच्चों के लिए उनमें एंट्री एग्जिट है, मल्टीपल एंट्री एग्जिट पॉइंट्स. तो कुछ लोगों ने अगर लाइवलीहुड अपने लिए भी देख रहे हैं, सो यू कैन आल्सो कांटेक्ट एनजीओस लाइक प्रदान, दे पे यू वेल, और इनके पूरे इंडिया में ये है. तो देखिए अगर हम जेंडर की बात कर रहे हैं तो इसमें भी प्रदान ने गवर्नमेंट स्कीम के साथ नेटवर्क करके दे आर प्रोवाइडिंग लाइवलीहुड अपॉर्चुनिटीज टू women. So poultry is one of the livelihood opportunities that has been provided. Mushrooming is another one. And उसके अलावा और एक थर्ड वाला है सेरिकल्चर, उसका मैं बता देती हूँ. और इसमें प्रधान ने they have made the bank procedures very simple. पेपर वर्क बहुत कम कर दिया है so as to facilitate women's access to the banks. Gender, this is what gender is all about. अब देखिए इसका फायदा क्या हुआ है. फैमिली एज ए कॉन्सेप्ट है इसका. जो आदमी लोग नरेगा के अंदर they used to move away from this place to the cities, now they stay there and they yeah, am I audible? So he does not have to earn, go outside to earn a livelihood. Now he's helping his wives. And as a result, as I said, the family as a concept has really come. वो बोलते हुए बीच में कुछ और भी मैं दिखाना चाहूंगी. मैट्रिमोनियल रिक्वायरमेंट टिल डेट we are empowered women, but हमारा मैट्रिमोनियल अभी भी जाता है. We need a very elegant and tall boy for a very slim very beautiful, well-educated girl, caste no bar. We still are victims of such a matrimony. And this is not something that has been given to us, but the social construct of the society has been such that the women, the young girls have to be educated, they have to be slim, they have to be beautiful. अरे आप अपने बेटे को देखे, उनको आप कहें कि how come your son is not in the right frame? अरे पढ़ रहा है, देखिए बैचलर्स किया, मास्टर्स किया, सारा टाइम बैठा रहता है. And if the girl is in the same format, she is not expected to be in that format. उसने तो along with the studies, she has to be doing something else because she has to get married. She has to maintain herself, because the boy is not supposed to be that. एक मैं ये देखती हूँ, अगर ये वीडियो चल जाए इसमें थोड़ा सा ये I wanted to show this. मुझे लगता है ये इसमें चलेगी नहीं. So this is again a construct where the man can see anything. ये हिंदी बॉलीवुड मूवी से बोली है. The man can see anything, but the moment the ये देखिए चल जाएगा, ये प्ले हो जाएगा. नहीं वीडियो है ये देखिए, ये भी नहीं होगा, ये होगा नहीं. आई एम सॉरी, ये चीज ये हो नहीं रहा. हाँ तो ये वीडियो मैं दिखा नहीं पाऊंगी बिकॉज आई थिंक anyway. So इस वीडियो में ये है that you know the man can see anything, but the moment she speaks, she's slapped because she is not supposed to be opening her mouth in front of the man. ठीक है नीचे. इसी तरह से, so what are we supposed to do? I think this is one of the very good advertisements where it shows that how, as a part of our socialization, we teach our boys to behave in a certain way and we teach our girls to behave in a certain way. I'm sorry, this does not work as of now. ये चलेगा नहीं. But ये आप देख लीजिएगा, little Ariel का ad Google करके देखिए, which shows what gender is all about and how gender has come up as a part of socialization. And in the end, I'd like to say that the whole idea is, and which is being done by Pradhan, that they have got women together, they get women together annually, where women, they hold the meetings, they speak their mind, and it's all about empower them, give them a voice. So this is what all gender is all about, and this is what we've been doing in the field. So with this, I'll say thank you as of now, and in case there are any observations, I'd like to take.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening us with your wise words. We are really obliged.
Share me करना. Stop sharing.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening us with your wise words. We are really obliged. I'm an audible. Thank you so much, Pamela, ma'am, for enlightening us with your wise words. We are obliged to you for parting the required knowledge we all need through Satyavati's college podium. I now invite Dr. Ankur Bhatnagar, ma'am, convener of ICC, to propose the
बड़ा कैसे करें?
Sorry, ma'am. I think everybody got unmuted because some people were, finding a problem. So before the vote of thanks, ma'am, I like to share a few things which I think are very pertinent that you have mentioned today. For example, ma'am, I think as teachers, we all need to play a very big role when we teach our female students. So I make it a point, ma'am, at a personal level beyond my home and in my class, to point this out कि अगर हमारी economics book में ma'am, I'm sure you know, in my economics book ma'am, now they write her. So the economic agent is a her now. It is no longer a his. So her endowments, her economic endowments. So whenever we write a paper, I make sure that I write a her. In fact, to share on a lighter note ma'am, अगर कॉलेज में कोई मिठाई खिलाता है, कहता है कि मेरी बिटिया हुई है, तो मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ डबल मुबारकबाद. अभी कल ही हुआ मैम ये. एंड दे कीप आस्किंग आप डबल क्यों दे रही हैं? तो मैंने कहा आप बताइए आपको क्या लगता है कि मैं डबल क्यों दे रही हूँ आपको मुबारकबाद? तो फिर वो यही, देन आई टेल देम कि अगर बेटा होगा तो आई विल से सिंगल मुबारकबाद, बिटिया होगी तो डबल मुबारकबाद. सो आई थिंक देयर इज सम प्रॉब्लम मैम इन द योर माइक. हाँ, am I audible to everyone?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right. So I think all of us need to build these small things within our classrooms, within our houses, the boundaries, within our joint families, and illustrate that, we have to change. Unfortunately, it takes time. Culture takes a lot of time. So at least the women who are already educated, we must participate in this way and say, for example, once my mother-in-law told my daughter, she was 8 years old, अंकुर तुमने इसको कहा नहीं बर्तन उठाने को, सब लोग खाना खा के चले गए. मैंने कहा मम्मी अगर मैं इनसे कहूंगी बर्तन उठाने को कि लड़की हो वो बिल्कुल नहीं उठाएगी. सो आई टोल्ड हर ब्रदर हु 7 years जूनियर, वो 2-3 साल का था शायद, ऐसे मैंने कहा बेटा ये दीदी के बर्तन लेके जाओ, और जब दीदी के बर्तन तुम ले जाओगे तो दीदी बड़ों के बर्तन ले जाएंगी. सो द नैरेटिव वाज कि छोटे बड़ों के लिए कर देंगे. सो आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ अस नीड टू सेंसिटाइज आवर स्टूडेंट्स. We need to sensitize our joint families, within our classrooms, within our homes. We have to do this. It's a slow and steady change. I think it's very slow, but hopefully the change will come. It is coming and it will be faster. I hope. Anybody has any other questions?
Yes, I think Poonam wants to.
Yeah. Poonam, are you unmuted now?
No, she's
just 1 minute. श्रेया, सबको अनम्यूट कर दो आप. दीप, श्रेया.
Yeah, now I think I'm unmuted. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. This is something that, I enjoyed the most, in a very long time, because we've been doing a lot of technical stuff, doing NAC and other stuff. And when I saw, your topic, gender as a social construct, I couldn't resist myself. Although I was doing random stuff, I had to be in college at 2 p.m. today. But, I'd like to share, one of the things which Ankur has just pointed out, that when we say double Mubarakbaad or any sort of, thing, when we try to balance out this gender thing, that women are equally important, girls are equally important, they have been subjugated for a very long time. I suppose at the same time, we need to also understand that when we look at gender, when we try to balance it out, we don't need to, pull down one gender. We don't need to criticize men for their privileges. We don't have to tell them, look, you guys have been doing all things wrong, because they've learned everything wrong. So the process of unlearning needs to start. We need to deconstruct. We need to tell our students. We need to tell the people around us. And I'm sure, like you have just, give a very insightful talk about at different level, as a girl, we are given pink stuff, as a small child, you're given with dolls, and men are given different things and boys are given different things. But at the same time, these fights are not limited to these particular junctures. I suppose as a woman also, I'm fighting my own battle. When I look at my house and I know that my father is the patriarch of the house, and there is a verbal spat on, on and off. So I think these little battles which we are fighting every day in and day out are the, means, and then we take experiences from there, and then we, tell the coming generation. Angela has a son, Akshat, and I'm sure he would be the most feminist guy ever. So these are the things, I suppose. And I have 2 girls, and my husband is the feminist guy. So I understand the people around us, they need to understand everybody has to, fight their battles. Thank you so much for a lovely, lovely talk. And I'd like to, really thank you from core of my heart, that it has really, made my day for I'm rejuvenated again. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for such kind words by you, by Ankur ji also, So actually, आपने तो बहुत important एक बात कर दी. Poonam ji, जो had I got some more time, I would have reflected on all that. Maybe in subsequent session कभी करेंगे. लेकिन ये बहुत ठीक बात है, that when we are talking about gender, the whole idea is to realize that nothing is a norm. Nothing is a norm, and when we need to appreciate both boys and girls together.
Yes.
And it's not one over the other, because the whole idea is that we need to have a gender equal society. And when we're having a gender equal society, तो हमें एक equitarian approach करनी पड़ेगी, जहां अभी women और young girls का थोड़ा सा औधा नीचे है, on certain human development indicators. और इसका मतलब कहीं से ये नहीं है that we start pulling down the other sex for one sex, but definitely gender is all about realizing that there could be certain things that are wrong, and we can only realize once we are aware of it, and once we get aware of it, हम धीरे से अपने तरीके से उनको check कर सकते हैं. Very rightly said.
I think there was a question, Shreya. I think there was a question in the chat box. Shreya, am I audible?
Ankur, can I say something on this related note?
Yeah.
Ma'am, on this note, I would like to say that this is like gender as a social construct. It becomes a kind of weapon which is cutting both ways. As Poonam rightly said, that we cannot it's not only the girls who are suffering because of gender construction. It's also the boys. Like if a boy is feeling hurt, he cannot even cry because people will say, "Kya ladkiyon ke jaise ro rahe ho?" And they have these things like "Mard ko dard nahi hota." So like tum chudiyan pehen lo. These kind of things are also working against boys also, so gender construction in this kind of rigid manner, it does no good to society as a whole, not just girls and boys, but everyone. It is not just one sex or one gender against the other. Also, as you said, the hidden agenda. Yes, hidden agenda is there, hidden curriculum is there. And I feel that the mass media is also, because the way mass media has encouraged these kind of stereotypes. Mass media is also now through advertisements and movies and through small things, we see that this change is also perceptible. And you have some ads. I remember there's this ad on TV, comfort fabric thing. So this mother is telling the son that why should your sister do, you do this and this, and she says it's quite simple. And so this is this is also kind of very a positive change, when you, as Ankur said, that we have to not only ask girls to do something. And incidentally, I think this was on and this is not something which is happening only in poor families. I was telling my students also in my class last week that Amitabh Bachchan's granddaughter Navya Naveli is saying that there is gender discrimination in our household. So we see that in spite of education and all, these kind of things are rampant. We have to have a kind of change within our mind, that why only say these things to girls and not to boys. So yes, I think it, as Ankur said, it's a slow process, but let us hope that it will be steady. And I feel more than girls, we have to target boys, because they have to be made aware of the fact that how they can become very active agents of change.
Very right, Anjali ji, very, very rightly said. And when you say that when we're talking about all this, maybe women might have it easy, but the men also suffer. For example, in South, it's been said that in South Asia, privileges of patriarchy come with great responsibility.
Yeah.
For example, while the young men feel entitled, they also have the responsibility, like not getting married when they have elder or younger sisters who are unmarried.
Yeah.
So these are great responsibilities that they have. So it's with all this entitlement does not come very easy to them. So
yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. This was very interesting. I hope my students also learned a lot. They enjoyed this session as much as I did.
No, in fact, whenever I take such sessions, I always love talking about it, because मेरे को लगता है कहीं ना कहीं ये message पहुंचाना बहुत जरूरी है that things have to change. और पता मैं एक और चीज आपको बताना चाहूंगा, अगर आप थोड़ी स्टडीज अगर हम ये देखें तो रिसर्च ये दिखाता है that emotional well-being of men gets improved when they spend more time in caring for their children.
Yes.
So that also needs to be kept in mind, and men need to be told about it कि अगर आप फैमिली के साथ टाइम बताएंगे, आपका इमोशनल वेलबींग भी बहुत अच्छा होगा. फादर्स एंगेजमेंट विद फैमिली मींस लेस फैमिली कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. ये सब रिसर्च का एक पार्ट है कि जितना वो इन्वॉल्व होंगे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कम होगा, एंड द चिल्ड्रन स्पेशली both the boys and girls will grow up to be better human beings.
इससे भी ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट ये मैडम, men are not encouraged to show their emotions. उनको अगर आप if you are a man, you should not be emotional. You should be very very much in control. The very fact that men try to show their emotion, that is also not encouraged by the gender construction. So which is again very unhealthy for men also.
Yes, heart attacks वगैरह क्यों होते हैं? Because emotions कहीं दिखाई नहीं पाते.
They have to always show themselves in control. They are not allowed to show that they are vulnerable.
आप ये देखिए, इसी स्टडी में ये देखा है that boys who have nurturing fathers who are involved in upbringing of the children, so such boys are less likely to use violence when they grow up. So that's also a very important finding. And they are seen to be using less violence or maybe no violence against their female partners. So all these things actually show how important it is that both men and women are directly involved in the family. So while the women have entered the private sphere, the men need to enter the public. They have entered the public sphere. The men have to enter the private sphere so as to bring about that balance.
Right.
Ma'am, you're on mute. Ankur, ma'am, you're on mute.
One question from the audience, I think that came in the chat box, Shreya. If you could just
yes,
share with us.
Ma'am, the question was that raising gender issues is often connected with feminism. So how to counter such situations?
Was she audible, ma'am?
Ma'am, shall I repeat it again?
Shreya, क्या आपने फिर से बोलो?
Yes, ma'am. The question is that raising gender issues is often connected with feminism. Like if we raise gender issues, then feminism comes in between, and it's like you are trying to be the feminist part. So how to counter such situations and deal with them?
But why should we counter it? Because when we're talking about gender, gender basically means that men and women are on the same platform. And what is feminism? Feminism is basically believing in the fact that sexism exists. Feminism is basically which shows that there are binaries, there is sexism, and I think it should go hand in hand. When we're talking about gender issues, we need to realize that there is sexism and we need to address that. So it's not that, we're talking about gender issues, but we don't believe in feminism. एक चीज है, एक ऑथर है, अगर आपने सुना हो, रेबेका वेस्ट क्या बोलती है? The moment I try to get out of my doormat image, पायदान की image से, the moment I try to get out of my doormat image, I'm seen as a feminist.
Exactly.
अब ये क्या बात हुई?
Exactly. Ma'am, you're absolutely right. कुछ भी आप बात बोले, मतलब I'm talking about society, there are certain people where I stay in Delhi. There are certain older women, they don't want their daughter-in-laws to meet with me. It's like
absolutely. आप अच्छी lady नहीं है because अच्छी नहीं हो. You know what Sonal Mansingh says? Sonal Mansingh को मैंने सुना, and she beautifully put this across. The moment I try to express myself, I'm seen as a bitch. The moment I try to eat what I want to, I'm seen as a bitch. The moment I go out, I'm seen as a bitch. The moment I look good, I'm seen as a bitch. XYZ वो बहुत उसके ऊपर कहा. In the end, she says, if it is so, let it be.
Let it be. Absolutely.
So the point is that the whole idea of gender is that we need to be actually bringing up the socialization process. जो हमने पूरी बात की है. Socialization process has to be such a way that men and women are seen as equals, and they do the whole binary, again I'm saying, that should not exist. And when this realization comes, when we are a part of that socialization, we actually start realizing the feminist thought. And कहीं ना कहीं, the moment you ask your students, are you a feminist? अरे नहीं, हम feminist नहीं. अरे feminism means that you are understanding that there is sexism and that is prevalent, that's worldwide, and we need to address that. So a feminist woman, I'll say, is somebody who is in control. A woman who is in control, who has her own mind, who can take care of herself and her family, is a feminist. Who understands the oppressive structures, she is a feminist, and she knows how to address them.
True.
So there's much more to it. So I don't think that we should actually be saying, very well put, the question is very good, very, very relevant. But then the whole struggle of understanding gender also leads us to the fact that we are in control, which can be seen as feminist thinking.
Absolutely. So Shreya, if you could unpin ma'am and we can take a webinar selfie.
Yeah, sure. Nice.
Yeah.
Participants, please turn on your cameras.
Please turn on right now. Everyone, request. कोई बात नहीं, जितने शेयर ले लो, जितने भी हैं भी, अपने को भी वो कर दो, हटा दो, so that you know वो स्क्वायर वाली आ जाएगा. Is Deep there? Deep can do it otherwise.
Yes, ma'am. We already taken the screenshot.
Great.
Yeah, so in go of 3, we will just take the screenshot.
Okay.
1, 2, and 3. Yeah.
Thank you. Requirement, ma'am. Selfie requirements. Okay.
We also do that.
क्या करें मैम, टाइम ही ऐसा आ गया है, मतलब things have changed so much in COVID. You know?
नहीं, लेकिन